First contact and cultural misunderstandings. The massive starship Hyperion hung in orbit around the azure world of Zenith Prime, its gleaming hull reflecting the light of the system's twin suns. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain Sarah Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, gazing out at the alien planet through the panoramic view screen. After years of searching, humanity had finally made first contact with an advanced alien civilization. Status report, Sarah called out, her voice calm despite the nervous energy crackling through the air. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the ship's communications officer, looked up from his console. The Zenithians have acknowledged our hail, Captain. They're inviting us to send a small delegation to the surface for formal introductions. Sarah nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension churning in her stomach. This was the moment they'd all been waiting for, the culmination of humanity's long journey into the stars. Assemble the away team, she ordered. I want our top xenobiologist, linguist, and cultural expert, and inform Dr. Elias that he'll be joining us as well. As the crew scrambled to prepare for the historic meeting, Sarah retreated to her ready room to review the scant information they gathered about the Zenithians. The aliens appeared to be a highly advanced, peaceful species with a deep connection to their planet's unique ecosystem. Initial scans had revealed a world teeming with bioluminescent flora and fauna, creating a breathtaking tapestry of light and color visible even from orbit. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. Enter, she called out. Dr. Alexander Elias strode in, his lanky frame seemed to unfold as he approached her desk. The ship's lead xenobiologist had an eager gleam in his eyes that reminded Sarah of a kid on Christmas morning. Can you believe it, Captain? He gushed, running a hand through his unruly mop of graying hair. After all this time, we're finally going to meet them face to face. The scientific implications alone are staggering. Sarah couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. Just remember, Doctor, we're here as diplomats first. Try to contain your excitement long enough for us to establish peaceful relations. Alex nodded, though the grin never left his face. Of course. But just imagine what we might learn from them. Their technology, their culture, their biology, it's all so fascinatingly alien. As they made their way to the shuttle bay, Sarah briefed the rest of the away team on protocol. Dr. Amelia Watts, their linguistics expert, listened intently while running final checks on her universal translator. Cultural anthropologist Dr. Yuki Tanaka seemed lost in thought, no doubt contemplating the myriad ways this encounter could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. The sleek shuttle cut through Zenith Prime's atmosphere, descending towards a sprawling city that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Massive structures of crystalline materials stretched towards the sky, their surfaces shimmering with patterns that shifted and flowed like living things. As they touched down in a designated landing area, Sarah took a deep breath to steady her nerves. Remember, she said to her team, we're making history today. Let's put our best foot forward. The shuttle's hatch opened with a soft hiss, revealing a welcoming committee of Zenithians. Sarah's first impression was one of otherworldly beauty. The aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall, their slender bodies covered in iridescent scales that caught the light and broke it into dazzling rainbows. Most striking were their eyes, large, multifaceted orbs that seemed to swirl with galaxies of color. One of the Zenithians stepped forward, raising a 6-fingered hand in what appeared to be a gesture of greeting. Welcome, travelers from beyond the stars, it said, its melodious voice translated seamlessly by their devices. I am Zaralux, appointed emissary of the Zenithian High Council. We are honored by your presence. Sarah returned the gesture, bowing slightly. The honor is ours, emissary Zaralux. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Hyperion. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from one another and forge a lasting alliance between our peoples. As introductions were made, Dr. Elias could barely contain his excitement. His eyes darted from one alien to another, taking in every detail of their unusual physiology. When it came his turn to be introduced, he stepped forward eagerly, perhaps a bit too eagerly. In his haste to greet Zaralux, Alex stumbled slightly. He reached out to steady himself, his hand inadvertently brushing against the emissary's arm. The moment their skin made contact, a visible spark of energy crackled between them. Zaralux's eyes widened, their swirling colors intensifying dramatically. "Oh my," the alien gasped, taking a step back. "That was unexpected." Alex's face reddened. "I'm so sorry. Are you all right? I didn't mean to." Zaralux held up a hand, composing themselves. "No harm done, Dr. Elias. It seems your species possesses some interesting properties. We shall have to study this phenomenon further." The rest of the introductions proceeded without incident, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just occurred. As they were led on a tour of the Zenithian capital, she noticed the aliens giving Dr. Elias a wide berth, their eyes occasionally flickering in his direction with what looked like a mixture of curiosity and wariness. Over the next few days, the human delegation immersed themselves in learning about Zenithian culture and technology. They discovered a society built on harmony with their environment, using advanced bioengineering to create living structures and sustainable energy sources. The Zenithians seemed eager to share their knowledge, but there was always an underlying current of reserve, particularly when it came to certain aspects of their biology. It was Dr. Tanaka who first noticed the pattern. "Have you realized," she mentioned to Sarah during a private moment, "that they never discuss their reproductive processes, and they seem particularly reticent about physical contact with us?" Sarah frowned, recalling the incident with Dr. Elias. "You're right. I wonder if it has something to do with that spark we saw when Alex touched Zaralux." As if summoned by their conversation, Dr. Elias burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "Captain, you won't believe what I've discovered. I've been analyzing the data from our initial scans, cross-referencing it with our observations, and I think I've identified a fascinating biological cycle in the Zenithian population." He pulled up a holographic display, showing a complex series of charts and graphs. "See here. There's a clear pattern of physiological changes occurring in regular intervals. I believe the Zenithians may be entering some sort of mating season." Sarah's eyes widened as the implications sank in. "Are you saying that when you touched Zaralux?" Alex nodded enthusiastically. "It's possible I inadvertently triggered some kind of mating response. Can you imagine the scientific implications? We could be on the verge of understanding an entirely alien reproductive system." "Dr. Elias," Sarah said slowly, "I think we need to tread very carefully here. If you're right, we may have unknowingly violated some deep-seated cultural taboo. We need to speak with Zaralux immediately and clear the air." But as they prepared to request a meeting with the Zenithian emissary, alarms began blaring throughout the city. The crystalline structures pulsed with urgent patterns of light, and Zenithians began hurrying through the streets with clear purpose. Zaralux appeared before them, their normally serene features tight with concern. "Honored guests," they said, their voice strained, "I'm afraid we have a situation developing. Your presence here seems to have accelerated certain natural processes. We must ask you to return to your ship immediately for your own safety." "What's happening?" Sarah demanded, even as she signaled her team to prepare for emergency evacuation. "Is there anything we can do to help?" Zaralux's multifaceted eyes swirled with conflicting emotions. "I'm sorry, but your very presence is the catalyst. The awakening has begun far earlier than anticipated, and we are not prepared. Please, you must leave now, before—" The emissary's words were cut off by a sudden tremor that shook the ground beneath their feet. In the distance, a massive structure that had previously appeared dormant began to unfurl like a blooming flower, revealing pulsating tendrils of energy that reached towards the sky. As the human team scrambled to board their shuttle, Sarah cast one last look at the alien city. The beautiful, harmonious world they had first encountered was transforming before her eyes into something wild and primal. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were leaving behind far more questions than answers, and that the consequences of their brief encounter might reshape the future of both their species in ways they could never have imagined. The shuttle's engines roared to life, propelling them back towards the safety of the Hyperion. But as they broke through Zenith Prime's atmosphere, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning of a much larger story, one that would test the limits of human ingenuity, compassion, and understanding in the face of a truly alien challenge. The mating season begins. As the Hyperion maintained a safe orbit around Zenith Prime, the ship's crew watched in awe and trepidation as the planet below underwent a startling metamorphosis. The once serene world now pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its bioluminescent flora and fauna intensifying to an almost blinding degree. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her face bathed in the eerie glow emanating from the viewscreen. "Status report," she commanded, her voice tight with tension. Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up from his console, his dark eyes wide. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations across the planet's surface. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. And there's something else." He hesitated, his fingers dancing over the controls. "We're picking up some kind of signal. It's not like any communication we've encountered." Dr. Alexander Elias burst onto the bridge, his normally disheveled appearance even more chaotic than usual. "Captain, you need to see this." He pulled up a holographic display showing a dizzying array of data. "The planet isn't just going through a mating season, it's undergoing a complete biological revolution." Sarah frowned, studying the swirling patterns of light and energy. "Explain, Doctor, in terms the rest of us can understand." Alex took a deep breath, visibly trying to contain his excitement. "It's like, imagine if every living thing on Earth suddenly decided to evolve at the same time. The Zenithians, their flora, their fauna, they're all changing, adapting, becoming something more." "More what?" Sarah pressed, a sense of unease growing in the pit of her stomach. Before Alex could answer, a new voice cut through the tension on the bridge. "More dangerous, Captain, at least to us." All eyes turned to Dr. Amelia Watts as she entered, her usually immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. The linguist's face was pale, but her eyes burned with intensity. "I've been analyzing that signal Lieutenant Rodriguez detected. It's not just a communication, it's a transformation directive, encoded in the very fabric of Zenithian biology." She brought up her own display, showing a complex lattice of intertwining energy patterns. "The signal is triggering rapid evolutionary changes in the Zenithian population. But here's the kicker, it's not just affecting them. Any organic matter exposed to this energy is being rewritten at a fundamental level." A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Sarah's mind raced, considering the implications. "Are you saying that if we were to go back down there?" Amelia nodded grimly. "We'd be changed, transformed into something that's neither human nor Zenithian. A hybrid creature adapted to survive in this new, hyper-evolved ecosystem." The bridge fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. It was Lieutenant Rodriguez who finally broke the tension. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's Zaralux." Sarah straightened her uniform, steeling herself. On screen. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made even the hardened crew members gasp. Zaralux stood before them, but the serene alien diplomat they had met was gone. In its place was a creature of terrifying beauty, its iridescent scales now pulsed with inner light, elongated limbs ending in razor-sharp claws. Most striking were its eyes, now swirling vortexes of cosmic energy that seemed to peer into the very soul of anyone who gazed upon them. "Greetings, Captain Chen." Zaralux's voice resonated with newfound power. "I hope we find you well, despite the unexpected turn of events." Sarah fought to keep her voice steady. "Emissary Zaralux, what's happening down there? Is your people in danger?" A sound that might have been laughter echoed through the transmission. "Danger? Oh no, Captain. We are becoming what we were always meant to be." Your Dr. Elias's touch. it awakened something long dormant in our species, a potential we had forgotten. Dr. Elias stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Zorolux, the changes you're undergoing, they're unprecedented. The rate of evolution, the complete restructuring of your ecosystem, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered. Zorolux's alien features twisted into what might have been a smile. Indeed, Dr. Elias, and it is all thanks to you. Your human DNA, so different from our own, provided the catalyst we needed to break free from our evolutionary stasis. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Break free? Are you saying this was intentional? Not initially, Zorolux admitted, but now that it has begun, we embrace it. We are becoming something greater, something that transcends the boundaries of flesh and energy, and we want to share this gift with you. A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Share it? How? Zorolux's eyes pulsed with intensity. Join us, Captain. Bring your ship, your crew. Let the transformation take you. Together, we could become a new species, one that bridges the gap between our two worlds. For a moment, Sarah was transfixed by the swirling vortexes of Zorolux's eyes. She could almost feel the pull of that alien energy, promising power and knowledge beyond her wildest dreams. With effort, she tore her gaze away. I'm afraid we'll have to decline, emissary. Our mission is to observe and learn, not to evolve. Zorolux's expression hardened. I see. That is unfortunate. But know this, Captain Chen, the change is coming, whether you embrace it or not. The energy we have unleashed cannot be contained. It will spread across the stars, transforming all in its path. You cannot run from evolution. With that ominous declaration, the transmission cut off. The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as crew members scrambled to analyze the new data pouring in from the planet's surface. Sarah turned to her senior staff, her mind racing. Options, people. I need them now. Dr. Elias spoke up first, his earlier excitement tempered by concern. Captain, if what Zorolux says is true, we could be looking at a threat to the entire galaxy. This hyper-evolution could reshape every world it touches. Dr. Watts nodded in agreement. The linguistic implications alone are staggering. If organic matter itself becomes a conduit for information transfer, traditional forms of communication could become obsolete. Lieutenant Rodriguez cleared his throat. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up unusual energy readings from neighboring star systems. Whatever's happening on Zenith Prime, it's already spreading. Sarah's jaw clenched as she considered their limited options. They were witnessing the birth of a new form of life, one that could either elevate consciousness across the galaxy or eradicate everything in its path. And somehow, humanity had been the unwitting catalyst for it all. All right, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos on the bridge. Our priority now is containment. We need to find a way to halt or at least slow down this evolutionary wave. And we need to warn Earth and our other colonies. She turned to Dr. Elias, her eyes blazing with determination. Doctor, I need you and your team working around the clock. Find me a way to counter this energy, or at least shield us from its effects. If we can't stop it, we need to find a way to coexist with it. Alex nodded, already pulling up research data on his pad. We'll give it everything we've got, Captain, but we're in uncharted territory here. We might have to rewrite the laws of biology as we know them. Then that's exactly what we'll do, Sarah said firmly. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. We've adapted, we've overcome, and we'll do it again. She looked around at her crew, seeing the same mix of fear and determination reflected in their eyes. We may have started this by accident, but by God, we're going to finish it. The future of not just our species, but all life in the galaxy, depends on what we do next. As the Hyperion's engines hummed to life, preparing to navigate the treacherous new reality they found themselves in, Sarah couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope beneath her apprehension. They had unleashed something beyond their comprehension, true, but in doing so, they had also unlocked the potential for humanity to evolve, to become something greater than they had ever imagined. The question now was, could they control this power, or would it consume them all? Quantum entanglement of souls. The Hyperion streaked through the star-studded void, its engines pushed to the limit as it raced against the spreading wave of hyper-evolution. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of data displayed before her. The ship's quantum sensors, hastily recalibrated by Dr. Elias and his team, painted a grim picture of the galaxy's transformation. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers danced across his console. "The evolutionary wave is accelerating, Captain. It's already engulfed 3 neighboring systems. Our predictive models show it reaching Earth in less than a week." Dr. Amelia Watts stepped forward, her usual composure shaken. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from our last encounter with Zaralux. There's something extraordinary happening at the quantum level." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Amelia pulled up a holographic display showing a dizzying array of subatomic particles in constant flux. The Zenithian transformation isn't just biological, it's fundamentally altering the quantum state of matter itself. It's as if consciousness itself is becoming entangled with the fabric of spacetime. A hushed silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. It was Dr. Elias who finally broke it, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "My God, they're not just evolving. They're transcending the physical plane entirely." Sarah's mind raced, grappling with concepts that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. "Are you saying the Zenithians are becoming, what? Energy beings? Gods?" "I'm not sure there's even a word for what they're becoming," Amelia replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But whatever it is, it's rewriting the fundamental laws of the universe as it spreads." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring across every console. Lieutenant Rodriguez's hands flew over his controls. "Captain, we've been caught in some kind of quantum wake. Our engines are offline." Sarah gripped her chair, fighting to maintain her balance as the Hyperion tumbled through space. "All hands, brace for impact." The viewscreen erupted in a kaleidoscope of impossible colors as the ship was engulfed by the leading edge of the evolutionary wave. For a moment it seemed to stretch into eternity. Every member of the crew felt their consciousness expand, touching the minds of every living thing caught in the wave's path. When reality reasserted itself, the bridge was eerily silent. Sarah blinked, her mind reeling from the experience. Is everyone all right? Slowly, her crew began to respond, each of them looking as shaken as she felt. But as Sarah looked around, she realized something had changed. There was a new awareness in their eyes, a depth that hadn't been there before. Dr. Elias was the first to voice what they were all feeling. "Captain, I think we've been changed." Before Sarah could respond, a familiar voice echoed through the bridge, but not through any speaker. It resonated directly in their minds. "Welcome, friends." Zaralux's thoughts caressed their consciousness. "To the next stage of evolution." The alien's form shimmered into existence before them, but it was unlike anything they had seen before. Zaralux was now a being of pure energy, its body a swirling vortex of quantum particles that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. What have you done to us?" Sarah demanded, her voice barely above a whisper. Zaralux's response was tinged with what could only be described as cosmic amusement. "We have given you a gift, Captain Chen, the gift of true understanding. Your minds are now quantum entangled with the universe itself. You are no longer bound by the limitations of your physical forms." As if to demonstrate, Zaralux's form shifted, taking on the appearance of each crew member in rapid succession before settling back into its energy state. The barriers between species, between matter and energy, between thought and reality, all are illusions. We are all one, interconnected in the great cosmic dance. Dr. Elias stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. But how? The energy requirements for such a transformation, it should be impossible. Ah, Dr. Elias, Zaralux's thoughts rippled with something like affection, always seeking to understand. But you're still thinking in terms of your old physics. The energy doesn't come from without, but from within. Consciousness itself is the fundamental force of the universe, and now you can tap into it directly. To demonstrate, Zaralux gestured, and suddenly the bridge of the Hyperion was transformed. They stood on an impossible planet, its surface a fractal landscape of living crystal that sang with alien harmonies. In the sky above, galaxies danced and merged, their movements a cosmic ballet of creation and destruction. This is but a fraction of what you can now perceive, Zaralux explained. The multiverse in all its infinite glory is open to you. Every possible reality, every potential future, all accessible with a mere thought. Sarah struggled to process the immensity of what she was experiencing. Part of her wanted to embrace this new reality, to lose herself in the infinite possibilities now laid bare before her. But another part, the part that had sworn an oath to protect humanity, held firm. And what about those who haven't been transformed? She asked, fighting to maintain her sense of self amidst the cosmic onslaught. What happens to Earth, to all the worlds in the path of your evolution? Zaralux's form rippled, taking on a more somber aspect. Change is inevitable, Captain. Those who cannot adapt will be left behind. It is the way of the universe. No, Sarah said, her voice gaining strength as she found her resolve. I won't accept that. There has to be a way to coexist, to give everyone a choice in their own evolution. She turned to her crew, seeing the same determination reflected in their newly awakened eyes. We started this. Humanity was the catalyst for this cosmic revolution. Now it's our responsibility to guide it, to find a way to bridge the gap between what we were and what we're becoming. Dr. Elias nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. If we can understand the quantum mechanics behind this transformation, we might be able to control it, to create a filter of sorts, allowing individuals to choose the level of their own evolution. Amelia's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. The linguistic implications are staggering. We could create a new form of communication, a language that bridges the gap between physical and energy beings. Lieutenant Rodriguez chimed in, his tactical mind adapting to their new reality. And if we can manipulate spacetime at will, we could set up a quarantine zone around Earth, buy us time to prepare humanity for what's coming. Sarah felt a surge of pride in her crew. Even in the face of such an overwhelming transformation, they hadn't lost sight of their humanity, of their drive to protect and preserve life in all its forms. She turned back to Zaralux, her resolve hardening. We accept your gift, but on our terms. We won't abandon those who aren't ready for this leap. We'll find a way to shepherd all of humanity, all life in the galaxy, into this new era of existence. Zaralux's form pulsed with what might have been approval. Your compassion is unexpected, but not unwelcome. Perhaps this is why the universe chose your species to be the catalyst. Very well, Captain Chen. Show us what humanity is truly capable of. The cosmic stage is yours. As Zaralux's presence faded, Sarah looked out at the transformed bridge of the Hyperion, at the infinite expanse of the multiverse now open to them. They had been given the power of gods, the ability to reshape reality itself. But with that power came an even greater responsibility. All right, team, she said, her voice ringing with newfound purpose. We've got work to do. Let's rewrite the future of the universe. As the crew of the Hyperion set about their monumental task, the stars themselves seemed to pulse with anticipation. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new era, poised to guide the very course of cosmic evolution. The true test of their species was just beginning. The nexus of infinite realities. The Hyperion, no longer bound by the constraints of conventional space-time, hovered at the edge of a cosmic maelstrom. Captain Sarah Chen and her crew, their consciousness expanded beyond mortal limits, gazed upon a sight few beings in the universe had ever witnessed, the nexus of infinite realities. "My God," Dr. Elias breathed, his voice a mixture of awe and trepidation. "It's beautiful and terrifying." Before them swirled a colossal vortex of pure possibility, its surface a kaleidoscope of fractal patterns that seemed to fold in on themselves infinitely. Each ripple in its ever-changing surface represented a different timeline, a unique reality branching off into the multiverse. Sarah's mind, now capable of processing information at a quantum level, raced with the implications. "This is it," she said, her voice resonating with newfound power. "The focal point of all realities. If we can harness its energy, we might be able to control the spread of the hyper-evolution wave." Lieutenant Rodriguez, his tactical mind now augmented by cosmic awareness, spoke up. "Captain, I'm detecting anomalies within the nexus. There are gaps in the fabric of reality itself, quantum instabilities," Dr. Watts interjected, her linguist's mind now attuned to the very language of the universe. "It's as if the multiverse is trying to communicate with us." Suddenly, the nexus pulsed with blinding intensity. The crew of the Hyperion found their consciousnesses drawn into its swirling depths, bombarded by visions of countless possible futures. They saw worlds where humanity had embraced the hyper-evolution, becoming beings of pure energy and thought. In others, they witnessed the terrifying consequences of unchecked transformation, entire galaxies consumed by chaotic, ever-changing matter that devoured everything in its path. But amidst the chaos, a pattern emerged. A single thread of possibility that wove through the tapestry of realities, offering a glimmer of hope. As their awareness snapped back to the present, Sarah's eyes blazed with determination. "Did you all see it?" she asked, knowing the answer before her crew nodded in unison. "The cosmic cipher," Dr. Elias whispered, his mind racing to process what they'd witnessed. "A fundamental code underlying all of reality. If we could decipher it, we could rewrite the rules of the universe itself," Amelia finished, her voice filled with equal parts excitement and trepidation. Sarah nodded, her resolve hardening. "That's our mission now. We need to crack that code before the hyper-evolution wave reaches Earth. It's our only chance to give humanity a choice in its own destiny." But as they prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of the Nexus, a new presence made itself known. A being of such immense power that even in their elevated state, the crew of the Hyperion felt like insects before a giant. "Eintlop's," a voice boomed, shaking the very fabric of reality around them. "You trespass in realms beyond your comprehension." A figure coalesced before them, its form constantly shifting between states of matter and energy. One moment it appeared as a towering humanoid made of swirling galaxies, the next a writhing mass of tentacles composed of pure quantum probability. "I am Omega, the end of all things and the beginning of Atolagates after," the being intoned. "You're made dealing with forces beyond your TN8s, drawn my ATTN turn." Sarah stepped forward, her own consciousness expanding to meet this cosmic entity on equal footing. "We seek only to protect our people, to guide them through the transformation that's coming." Omega's form rippled, a sound like the laughter of dying stars echoing through the void. "Protect, guide. You are but children, playing by the forces that could unmake creation itself. The cosmic CCIPATR is not meant to have all mortal minds." "Perhaps not," Sarah countered, her voice steady despite the overwhelming pressure of Omega's presence. "But it was mortal minds that catalyzed this change. We have a responsibility to see it through, to find a balance between evolution and preservation." For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Omega regarded them in silence. Then, with a gesture that bent light itself, the cosmic being conjured a swirling nebula of information before them. "Very well, Sheildorian of Earth. I shall grant you a fragment of the CIPATR, but nenoUTS. With great power comes the potential for great devastation. The FAT of your species, perhaps of all reality, rests upon your choices. As the fragment of the cosmic cipher merged with their expanded consciousness, the crew of the Hyperion felt knowledge beyond imagining flood their minds. The secrets of reality itself lay bare before them, waiting to be deciphered and applied. But with that knowledge came a chilling realization. They now held the power to reshape the very foundations of existence. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and they could unravel the fabric of the multiverse itself. Sarah turned to her crew, seeing the weight of their newfound responsibility reflected in their eyes. "This is it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The ultimate test of humanity's wisdom and compassion. We have the power to rewrite reality itself. The question is, are we worthy of it?" As Omega's presence faded, leaving them alone at the edge of the nexus of infinite realities, the crew of the Hyperion faced their greatest challenge yet. They had transcended the boundaries of mortality, gained the power of cosmic beings, and now held the key to reshaping existence itself. But as they prepared to wield the cosmic cipher, to chart a course for humanity's evolution that would ripple across all realities, a single daunting question hung in the air. In their quest to save humanity, would they lose the very essence of what made them human in the first place? The fate of not just Earth, but all possible worlds, hung in the balance as they took their first steps into a new era of cosmic responsibility. The true test of humanity's potential was about to begin, with consequences that would echo across the multiverse for eternity. The quantum crucible. The Hyperion hung suspended in a realm beyond conventional space and time, its crew grappling with the awesome responsibility thrust upon them. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of what was once the bridge, now transformed into a swirling nexus of pure information and possibility. "All right, team," Sarah's voice resonated with newfound authority, rippling through the quantum fabric of their shared consciousness. "We have the fragment of the cosmic cipher. Now we need to figure out how to use it without unraveling the very fabric of reality." Dr. Elias, his form now a shimmering construct of pure thought, projected a complex, multidimensional equation into the space between them. "I've been analyzing the cipher, Captain. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. It's not just a code, it's a living algorithm, constantly adapting and evolving." A quantum A, Lieutenant Rodriguez mused, his tactical mind now expanded to encompass strategies that spanned millennia and multiple realities, but on a scale we can barely comprehend. Dr. Watts, her linguist's brain now attuned to the very language of the cosmos, chimed in. "It's more than that. The cipher, it's not just telling us how reality works, it's asking us a question." "What kind of question?" Sarah asked, feeling the weight of cosmic destiny pressing down upon them. Amelia's form flickered as she grappled with the concept. It's asking us to define the fundamental nature of consciousness itself, to determine the very essence of what it means to be alive, to be aware, to exist. A hushed silence fell over the crew as the magnitude of their task sank in. They weren't just trying to save humanity from a wave of hyper-evolution. They were being asked to define the very parameters of existence for all conscious beings across the multiverse. Suddenly, a new presence made itself known. A swirling vortex of energy coalesced into the familiar form of Zaralux, the Zenithian emissary who had started them on this cosmic journey. "Greetings, humans." Zaralux's thoughts caressed their minds. "I see you've pierced the veil of ultimate reality. Impressive and terrifying." Sarah's consciousness expanded to meet the alien entity. "Zaralux, you knew about this, didn't you? About the cosmic cipher, about Omega, about all of it." The Zenithian's form rippled with what might have been cosmic amusement. "We suspected. Our species has long theorized about the existence of a fundamental code underlying all of reality. but we lacked the key to unlock it. Until we came along, Dr. Elias interjected, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Precisely, Zoralux confirmed. Your human DNA, so different from our own, provided the missing piece of the cosmic puzzle. You unlocked potential that had lain dormant in the universe since the dawn of time. Sarah's mind raced, grappling with the implications. So what now? We're supposed to just rewrite the laws of reality, play God with the fate of every conscious being in existence. Zoralux's form pulsed with intensity. That, Captain Chen, is entirely up to you. You stand at a cosmic crossroads. The choices you make here will ripple across all possible realities, shaping the very nature of existence itself. As if in response to Zoralux's words, the space around them shimmered, revealing glimpses of countless possible futures. A reality where all beings had evolved into creatures of pure energy and thought, free from the constraints of physical form. Another where consciousness itself had become a networked hive mind, individual identities merged into a single, all-encompassing awareness. A dark timeline where unchecked evolution had led to chaos, entire galaxies consumed by ever-changing, cannibalistic matter. And countless variations in between, each representing a different balance between progress and preservation, unity and individuality. The multiverse stands on the brink of a new era, Zoralux intoned. And you humans are the architects of its future. Sarah turned to her crew, seeing the weight of cosmic responsibility reflected in their otherworldly eyes. We need to find a way to harness this power, to guide evolution without losing what makes us. Us. Dr. Elias nodded, his form flickering with rapidly changing equations. What if we created a sort of cosmic filtration system? A way for conscious beings to choose their own level of evolution, to find their own balance between physical form and energy state. A quantum gateway, Lieutenant Rodriguez added, his tactical mind adapting to this new cosmic chessboard. We could set up checkpoints throughout the multiverse, allowing species to adapt at their own pace. Dr. Watt's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration, and we could create a new form of universal communication, a language that bridges the gap between all states of being. A true cosmic lingua franca. As her crew bounced ideas back and forth, each more mind-bending than the last, Sarah felt a surge of pride. Even on the brink of godhood, faced with power beyond imagining, they hadn't lost sight of their humanity. Their drive to protect, to understand, to connect. It was these very qualities that made them worthy of wielding the cosmic cipher. With newfound determination, Sarah turned back to Zoralux. We accept this responsibility. We'll use the cipher to create a system of guided evolution, one that preserves free will and celebrates diversity across all realities. Zoralux's form pulsed with what might have been approval, a noble goal. But remember, Captain Chen, with great power comes great temptation. The line between guiding and controlling is razor thin. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of countless worlds resting on her shoulders. We'll stay vigilant. We'll create checks and balances, cosmic fail-safes to prevent any one being or species from dominating the others. As the crew of the Hyperion set about their monumental task, the very fabric of reality seemed to hum with anticipation. They were no longer just explorers or scientists or soldiers. They had become cosmic architects, shaping the future of consciousness itself. With trembling hands that could now rearrange galaxies, Sarah began to input the first lines of a new cosmic code. A code that would rewrite the very nature of evolution, of existence, of reality itself. As the multiverse held its breath, humanity took its first steps into a new era of cosmic responsibility. The quantum crucible had begun, and the fate of all possible worlds hung in the balance. In that moment, suspended between what was and what could be, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew faced the ultimate test of their species. They had been given the power of gods. Now they had to prove they had the wisdom to wield it. The cosmic stage was set. The next chapter in the story of existence itself was about to be written, and humanity, for better or worse, held the pen.